What if that sudden flash of rage wasn't really about the person in front of you, but was an echo from a hidden part of your own mind? We've all had those moments. A small comment ruins your entire day, a minor setback feels like a world-ending catastrophe, and you're left wondering, why on earth did I react like that? The easy answer is to blame them, or your bad mood. But Carl Jung, one of history's great explorers of the psyche, offered a much more profound explanation. He believed these emotional flare-ups are actually messages from the deepest parts of ourselves. They aren't random glitches, they're signals. In this video, we're going to explore his game-changing ideas to uncover the unconscious forces, like the shadow and complexes, that are secretly pulling your emotional strings. Let's be real, the feeling of being emotionally hijacked is unsettling. One minute, you're calm, cool, and collected. The next, you're drowning in a wave of anger, shame, or fear that feels completely disconnected from what just happened. Your body gets there before your mind even catches on. Your heart pounds, your breathing goes shallow, and stress hormones flood your system. It's when a casual remark from a colleague about your work feels like a direct assault on your entire worth, sending you spiraling. It's when a loved one changing plans triggers an oversized fear of being abandoned. Then after the storm passes, the confusion rolls in, usually with a nice side of guilt. You replay the scene thinking, what was that? That wasn't me, but it was you, or more accurately, a part of you that you don't know very well. This feeling of being possessed by an emotion is a universal human thing. We try to explain it away. Stress, not enough sleep, the other person being insensitive. And while those things play a part, Jung proposed that the real source is much deeper. He suggested we're not actually reacting to the present moment. Instead, we're reacting to what that moment awakens inside us. An old wound, a disowned piece of ourselves. Your triggers aren't proof that you're weak. They're invitations to become whole. To get this, we need to look at one of Jung's core ideas, the shadow. The shadow is Jung's term for everything we've pushed down and refused to look at in ourselves. It's the dark side of our personality, not because it's evil, but because it's hidden from the light of our conscious mind. From a young age, we learn that certain parts of us are bad. We're taught that anger is wrong, vulnerability is weak, and jealousy is shameful. So what do? We take these very human emotions and impulses and lock them in the basement of our unconscious. But here's the thing, they don't just vanish. When you suppress something, you don't eliminate its power, you give it a different kind of power. That hidden energy can curdle and turn against us. The shadow, this collection of disowned parts, starts running its own operations behind the scenes. It's like a heavy backpack you're carrying but can't see, filled with every part of yourself you refuse to claim. You don't see it, but you feel its weight every single day. This is where your triggers come into play. A trigger is just something that happens in the outside world that jostles that backpack. When you see someone else acting out a trait that lives in your own shadow, whether it's arrogance, insecurity, or laziness, it resonates with that hidden piece of you and sets it off with incredible force. This is why Jung famously said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. That intense annoyance you feel isn't really about them. It's the sound of your own shadow knocking on the door, asking to be let in. When we don't own our shadow, we tend to see it everywhere in the people around us. So if the shadow is the vast, dark territory of our psyche, how do these hidden parts take control with such specific, laser-like precision? The answer lies in what Jung called complexes. Think of it this way. If the shadow is the landscape, complexes are the emotional landmines scattered all over it. Jung saw a complex as a web of emotionally charged memories, thoughts, and ideas, all tangled up around a central theme, like power, inferiority, or abandonment. These complexes are formed around psychic wounds and shocks that we couldn't fully process at the time. So they splinter off from our main consciousness and start living a life of their own in the unconscious. They act like little mini personalities. For example, someone with an inferiority complex might consciously think they're pretty competent, but that old wound of feeling not good enough is just sitting there dormant, waiting. Then something neutral happens. They aren't copied on an email, or someone talks over them in a meeting. Boom, the complex is activated. In that instant, the complex has them. It hijacks their personality, flooding their system with all the original feelings of worthlessness and shame. Their reaction, maybe lashing out or completely shutting down, isn't about the missed email. It's a reaction to their entire history of feeling inferior. Jung argued we don't choose to activate a complex. It's an automatic, involuntary takeover. You can feel it in your body. Your jaw clenches, your stomach drops, your heart races. This is why you feel so unlike yourself in those moments. A smaller, wounded part of you has temporarily grabbed the steering wheel. Let's just pause here for a second. If any of this is starting to click, if you're seeing your own emotional patterns in a new light, then consider subscribing. This journey into the mind is an ongoing one, and if you join our community, you'll get more insights to help you navigate your inner world and keep moving on the path of self-discovery. Realizing that our triggers are run by these hidden shadows and complexes is a huge relief, but it can also feel a bit overwhelming. So what are we supposed to do about it? Jung's work isn't just about pointing out the problem, it's about transformation. He laid out a path for integrating these unconscious forces, turning them from puppet masters into wise advisors. The goal isn't to get rid of your triggers, it's to change your relationship with them. Here's a simple 3-step framework you can try the next time you feel triggered. Step 1. The conscious pause. The first and most important step is to create a little bit of space between the trigger and your usual reaction. A complex moves at the speed of instinct, so you have to deliberately interrupt that automatic process. This isn't about bottling up the emotion, it's about consciously choosing not to get swept away. Take one deep breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice the story your mind is spinning about what's happening, and just say to yourself, okay, I'm telling myself a story right now. This simple act stops the runaway train and creates the space for awareness to show up. Step 2. The compassionate inquiry. Once you've got that sliver of space, turn your attention inward with curiosity, not judgment. You're not interrogating an enemy. You're checking in on a wounded part of yourself. Gently ask, what part of me feels threatened here? What is this big feeling trying to tell me? What older memory does this remind me of? This is an act of self-compassion. You're turning toward the feeling instead of running away from it. The goal is just to listen, to give that hidden part of you the voice it's been denied for so long. More often than not, you'll find the emotion has very little to do with the present and is rooted in a much older story. Step 3. Recognize the projection. This final step is about what Jung called emotional alchemy. It's where you recognize that the intense quality that bothers you so much in another person is actually a reflection of a part of yourself you haven't owned. If you're infuriated by someone's arrogance, the question becomes, where is my own repressed arrogance? Or where am I afraid to take up more space? If you're triggered by someone playing the victim, you can ask, where in my own life do I feel powerless? This isn't about blaming yourself. It's about taking your power back. When you start withdrawing your projections from other people, the world suddenly loses its power to wound you. The buttons you thought everyone else was pushing suddenly vanish because you realize you were the one who installed them. Doing this work fundamentally changes your relationship with yourself and everyone around you. You start to shift from being a victim of your own emotions to being the architect of your inner world. The people and situations that used to hijack your day become your greatest teachers. Every trigger stops being a crisis and starts being an opportunity for healing. You learn that your shadow, which you used to fear, isn't just a container for your pain, but also a source of incredible energy, creativity, and authenticity. The very parts you tried to get rid of hold the keys to making you whole. This journey, which Jung called individuation, is really just the process of becoming who you were always meant to be. It's the commitment to bringing the unconscious into the light. As Jung put it so perfectly, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. By facing our triggers, we stop calling our unconscious patterns fate and start calling them choice. We stop being puppets of the past and start becoming the conscious creators of our future. Real emotional freedom isn't about building a fortress around yourself so you never get triggered. That's a life of avoidance, not freedom. True freedom is the ability to feel a trigger go off inside you and to meet it with awareness and compassion. It's the ability to stand in the fire of a powerful emotion without being burned. It's knowing deep in your bones that the disturbance isn't a flaw, it's a map. And it's a map that, if you have the courage to read it, will lead you back to all the lost and forgotten pieces of your own magnificent soul. Freedom isn't about being untriggerable. It's about knowing exactly what's being touched when you are.